Howie, I remember the first time, I think we were at Myrtle Beach Speedway. I'd ridden down that day with JR, and I was working with him at the time, and I agreed, hey, let's go down and watch the Myrtle Beach 400 weekend, and one of the bigger late model stock races across in the East Coast. Unfortunately, that track's not with us anymore, but, long live Myrtle Beach Speedway. I remember getting there, kind of walking around. I raced at Myrtle Beach one time, probably back in 2013 or so, when I was racing for Keselowski in the late models. But I was getting a lay of the land. It had been a few years, and I remember coming across your car. I think it was on the turn 3 and 4 side. You would just come in off the racetrack. You were standing next to your car, and your whole crew was there, and they were sort of talking to you a little bit. And I didn't realize at the time that you had a tough qualifying run, and I just checked in and I said, hey man, how's it going? Because I didn't really know a lot of the drivers there, even at the time. That I grew up racing super late models and pro late models, and late model stocks was a little bit of a different world for me. And that's how our relationship started. I remember Howie telling me he didn't make the race, and it was kind of a difficult weekend for him. And I don't know if you can remember what I told you, Howie, but it was along the lines of, keep your head up. This sport will find a way to chew you up and spit you out whenever you least expect it. And I had missed my fair share of races when I was growing up and cutting my teeth up in New England. Some of the bigger races, we come close a couple times to qualifying, especially when I was first starting. I mean, the competition was stiff, and it was the same way at Myrtle Beach that weekend. I mean, there was best in the country. They were trying to qualify for that race.
Yep. So that's Austin's side of the story. I would say my side of the story, I had an awful run in qualifying. Crew chief told me to drive it in deep. I drove it in 10 car lengths too deep. Come in, I was in turn 3 and 4, and there was a fella that was just sitting on the wall. That was Austin. And I get out of my car, I'm cussing. My dad's there. Oh, it's okay. My whole crew's there. And then Austin just looks over, because I'm walking across the pit wall. And he says, hey man, it's okay. Like I missed a few races. I turn to my dad. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Firstly, who's this guy? And then he introduced himself, but he didn't say my name is Austin Theriault at all. And so later on, I get a DM after I missed the race. I get a DM from Austin, and he said, "Hey, we met at Myrtle Beach, blah 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 blah," and we started talking there. And I went to his page, and then I knew that Austin was the man, the myth, the legend, because I've heard of him before. And then I saw that he raced for Ken Schrader, and I watched him win the 2017 ARCA Championship, at least. So that's how it all started. And I believe, Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 weeks later, you drove to my house in Virginia to have a sit-down conversation with my parents.
Yeah, your dad had reached out. I think maybe we exchanged numbers or emails or something, and your dad had reached out and said, hey, would love your opinion on what Howie's next steps are going to be, or what do you think? You've raced in trucks and Cup, Xfinity, and all that stuff. And in that year, I was actually racing Cup. 2019, I was racing Cup. And so I said, let me go up there. I had some family I was visiting, I think in Chesterfield, on my mother's side, and it just so happened that it worked out for me to go and spend an hour or so with you and your folks and mom and your dad, and you showed me around the farm and all that stuff, and that's how it all started. I remember kind of sharing some contacts of people that I knew down in Carolina. I said, hey, let's meet, let's have a sit down with a couple of these folks, and I think we can get you on the right track, and the rest is history from there. Well, I tell you, a lot of it revolved around the fact that he missed qualifying for the Myrtle Beach race, and I guess I automatically could feel for him. I could see the emotion on his face, him getting out of the car, and the disappointment that he had, showed me that he was a competitive driver. He cared about, he cared about the fact that he wanted to make the race. He cared about the fact that his team was behind him, and I could relate. I could put myself in his shoes, and it was sort of a perfect place, the right time. Howie, if you would have made that race, chances are we wouldn't be working together, and you'd probably still be racing. Well, you wouldn't be racing at Southside anymore because that's not a track, but you might be racing at Dominion or something like that, and probably having a fair amount of success. And so I think the lesson we sometimes take away from racing is it can be hard to deal with the challenges. It can be hard to deal with all the obstacles that you face along the way, but sometimes around the next corner is an opportunity, a good opportunity, to meet somebody or have a door open, and it seemed to happen for Howie at that point.